I'm sure everyone knows her by now. We have, better known as Georgie Fit, we have Georgie Cooper on the program today, or the podcast today. We're going to be talking everything to do with prep, everything to do with shows, post shows, how she got into it, what her next steps are, just literally covering everything. So we've got some questions that we put out on our Instagram that we'll be going through everything as well. But otherwise, let's just go straight into it. Georgie, for anyone, if there is anyone that's living in a desert somewhere that doesn't know about you, explain a little bit about you, how you got into this, and then we can go from there.
Amazing. Firstly, thank you so much for having me on the podcast, guys. I'm honoured. I know you've only done a couple of episodes, so it was so lovely to get that invite. So yeah, I'm Georgie Cooper, 25 years old, and I am PCA athletic figure British champion this year, last year, but I also only ever competed last year as well. So I've done 2 shows, and yeah, like I've just basically done 1 season of competing, done a little bit of an off season, and now I am 8 weeks deep into a next prep, which is super exciting.
So you've kind of said, you've made it sound so, I've done a little bit of kind of competing, done a little bit, but like on your mindset is so hardcore, because obviously you were going to compete before lockdown.
Of course, I always forget about this. Like I actually prepped in, was it 2019 now? I think it's 2019.
Yeah.
And my show got cancelled like 4 weeks before it was due to be on, and I was obviously at the time gutted, but looking back at that, like that was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it taught me a lot about prep before I did a proper prep, and it obviously took my body to like a kind of lean level, so that it actually made my first time as prep, like my first ever proper prep, even though it was my first prep, it didn't really feel like my first prep. So I definitely had some kind of advantage with that for sure.
Nice. How did you handle that mindset wise? Like, so your first ever show, you know, you're almost there. And then
you know what? Like the girl I lived with at the time, Ali, she was saying like, gee, it's going to get cancelled. Like there's this like massive thing like called Corona. And I was having none of it. I was like, nah, don't lie. Like, don't be saying that in this house. And I literally was like, no, they won't cancel it. And then I remember the day they cancelled it, I think PCA put it up on their page. I cried. I don't cry very often, like I don't cry at anything, but yeah, man, I cried all evening. I was gutted.
Oh, you would be, wouldn't you?
I mean, and then post show is not even post show, and it's in coronavirus when everything is shut.
Yeah, because it's like whether no matter what the situation, prep is the sole focus, isn't it? But like if it's in a lockdown situation, you've then got like nothing to focus on, so it must have been really, really difficult.
No meals out, no restaurants open, no gyms open. It was savage, but like I said, it's like one of the best things that ever happened to me. So yeah.
We kind of touched on it a bit with Simon on the last podcast, with like when some things are so shit and you just think at the time, so like in comparison, like with me going on stage and absolutely like not having the best time ever at my first show, it like you either learn from something, or you know, it's that fork in the road, and it's crap at the time, but you've come away and gone, do you know what I learned? So you can reflect back on it and be like, I learned this from it, and it made me so much better afterwards, rather than just being like, sod this shit, I'm never doing it again.
Look, I always say like everything happens for a reason, and I think in that kind of situation, like that is just so true. So
yeah, that's what I think coming off the FitX show, wasn't it? I was like, it's happened for a reason, it's teaching me something, and then obviously come back 5 weeks later and then doing a complete U-turn. Like I think that's the thing, like even when it's shit, like even you had it as well, didn't you, with your shows? And Matt was just like, you could tell he was trying not to let it get to him, and I was like, it's fine, it is happening for a reason, I promise you. I was like, I swear to God, I hope I'm not speaking out and it did, and then you got your second in PCA. So yeah. I do think like things are setting yourself up for something better all the time, and you know, something was better because you bloody went and won, didn't you? And absolutely smashed it. So kind of going through all of that. So first and foremost, out of all the federations, I know you with Dan, so obviously I'm assuming that's why you went PCA, but was there any other factors of why you chose PCA?
Do you know what? I actually used to watch PCA shows for years before I even thought about competing. My friend, her name's Carly Pierce, KP Nut on Instagram. She is someone, trained figure, absolutely insane. Yeah. And when I first moved to the town that I lived in a while ago, I remember the gym I was working at, she used to come in and pose, and I was like, what the fuck, like this woman is amazing. And she basically ended up like being one of my best friends, and I would go with her to all of her shows, and she used to always compete with PCA. So I'd already been to like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 PCA shows before I actually made the decision to prep myself. It was the 2019 PCA Hull finals that I was like, right, I'm doing this, I'm finding a coach. And I actually had a coach before I had Dan, but then I just kind of gravitated towards Dan, just because he's obviously the king of figure.
Basically heard nothing but like amazing things from Dan. It's insane.
Yeah, he's a great coach, to be fair.
Watching all of these girls whenever they're so many weeks out, and especially now because I am away, that's not in my radar currently, but I'm always thinking about, right, this girl is like 17 weeks out, this is what I want to look like. So this girl's 12 weeks out, like I would nothing but this, please, because they always look so good.
It brings them in early, doesn't it? Yeah, they're ready,
but they just look so good from it. So amazing. So from there, you know, explain what you then decided to do from there. Like, how long was your prep? And kind of then we'll delve into some questions to do with prep.
Okay, so once my show got cancelled, I was actually with a different coach at that point. And then in my off season, it wasn't very structured, to be fair. I then reached out to Dan, started working with Dan in my off season. We didn't really get my calories up too high, to be fair. Like, I just wasn't really able to pull them up that high. So we started dieting in the January of last year to do the first timers in June. So my prep was 20 weeks long into the first timers show, which was obviously amazing, and documented the whole thing on YouTube, which I'm so glad I did, because I know a lot of people do benefit from watching those on their prep. So that was my first prep, and you guys will agree there is nothing quite like your first prep. Like, doing this prep now, I'm like, it is fun, like, don't get me wrong, but like there is nothing like your first prep. So if you're watching this and you're doing your first prep soon, enjoy every single moment, because there is nothing, it gives me goosebumps, there's nothing like it. So that was my first prep into the first timers. First timers was great, obviously. Came away with a win, which was like mind-blowing. And then I was planning on doing other shows, but Dan actually said, look, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should just come away, reverse out of your diet, do a little bit of like a chill period, and then do the finals. So my prep ended up being, I think it was 34 or 36 weeks long last year. So by the end, I was done. I couldn't have done another day.
So what did you do? So you reversed that, and then you sort of held at maintenance, and then went back in for the finals, right?
Yeah, I like reversed, but like I would argue with like too much strictness. Like, I didn't really look at it as like prep ended. I think now that I'm a little bit more, like, I've watched a lot of other people prep, that break in between, like, if people do early shows, they're just like, oh, I'm off prep now, and then I'm going to go prep for the finals. I never really looked at it like that. I literally was like so strict, which meant I was able to build my calories up really high, and I wasn't doing any cardio. So the prep into the finals was easier on paper. But as you guys know, like, being that lean, it's just, I was so lean for so long. It just becomes like uncomfortable, doesn't it? So
yeah, I remember, because I started prep. So mine was literally end of December. So we say December, January, and then obviously you were PCA finals, and then I did Arnold. So it was around the same length for prep. And I remember you did kind of this maintenance phase. So I had like, I think probably 2 days off for my hen do, but because I wasn't quite lean enough in our eyes for what shows we planned later on, I had to push in. And I remember just watching your stories, it's like you had like half a banana added in, and I was like, God damn it, she's got a banana now. Like, and your foods were going so high, and I was like, oh Christ, where's my banana? I want a banana. Yeah, it's funny watching like everyone come out of it, but like as you said, like the length of prep is just brutal, isn't it?
It is interesting though, because obviously I've done a show season as well in a similar situation. So I did the qualifiers near the start of the year, April, and then I did the finals. And there's basically 2 different ways you could do it, isn't there? You could like reverse right out basically and relax a bit, and then do a whole new prep again into the finals. Or you could try and hold condition, and then you'll find the second half of the year easier, because there's nowhere near as much to lose. But obviously you've got fatigue build up and things like that as well. So what would be your personal preference? I think that's quite a good question. Out of the 2 approaches,
my personal preference would be don't do early shows.
If you want to do late shows, just like if you want to do those qualifiers and stuff, it's
That is my one piece of advice. Do not do early shows, because that break, if you're going to take that break seriously, it's savage, man. But I would say that staying a little bit more accurate and a little bit more on it, although mentally it is fatiguing, I think there's nothing worse than rebounding out of a show and then realizing, oh my God, I've got like 20 pounds to lose again. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, you're just in a shit situation. Like I said, like the second bit of my prep towards the finals, it was hard because I was lean and I was tired, but on paper it was a piece of piss.
I think that's the biggest thing, isn't it? And it is just deciding if you are someone that wants to do a show that has finals. So Two Bros, if they have this pro qualify, they normally have one around June, July anyway. NFM do a pro on the same day, and it's normally like PCA and FitX and things like that that have the finals. So it's like, if you're looking to do finals, like definitely work your shows around what you're aiming for. And can't say much because I did the same. I mean, it wasn't even the aim of finals, it's just my shows were completely
really
separate.
Spread out. Yeah, you had a very long season last year.
So
it was funny because Dan said to me when I said I wanted to do a prep for June, he was like, that's a really bad decision. And I was like, no, you're wrong, I'm right. And then I remember being about 3 weeks out from the finals, I nearly packed it in, like mental fatigue wise. I nearly said, this is enough for me. And I remember Dan saying, like, you wanted this. It's like, so yeah, made it to the finals just about.
Yeah, it's crazy because you do so long, and it does get to that stage where it seems so close, but you're just so mentally fucked. You're like, no, I just don't want to do it.
It's not even worth it. You think, oh, it's 2 more days. You think, I don't think I can even do 2 more days.
Yeah.
You know what it's like, but sometimes you just have to shake yourself out.
Yeah.
On.
That's quite good, because then it leads into the questions. And one of the first questions is, how did you get through your hardest days on prep? Like, what made you, those days where we are just feeling like, sod this shit, what made you carry on?
I feel like a lot of the reason on why I kind of wanted to just get it done and like do well was because of like, I think a lot of people I don't know, I feel like I was very much like, just came onto the scene quite randomly. Like I wasn't really known for bodybuilding before. I was very much like, I obviously have a few followers and I had like an Instagram, and I was a bit of an idiot. Like, do you know what I mean? I was just a bit of an Instagram girl. So I just wanted to kind of prove like that I could do the whole prep and kind of get out the other end of it and sort of do well. But the toughest days, I don't know, I just love I love the saying of all feelings are temporary. So when I literally just felt like I was in the gutter, I just used to think to myself, this is temporary. Like even with the hunger, like you can feel so hungry, but if you just go to bed and sleep it off, the next day it's actually not that bad. So I think it's just knowing that like there is an end to that feel, like when you're really like in the dumps and you're like, this is not okay. Just knowing that like it will pass.
Yeah, I think that's a really good tip, to be fair. Like the more experienced you are and the more seasons you do, the more you realize that. But
yeah, you can just kind of get on with it.
Before, yeah, they do get to those days and they're like, this is shit.
I think because you've never especially for your first prep is so good in so many ways, but also you don't know really why you're doing it, because you haven't stepped on stage. Once you've stepped on stage, you're like, okay, this is why, this is what I'm doing, and you learn more and more and more. But that first, you've never stepped on stage, you're just going off watching YouTubes and living it through everyone else. So you're kind of doing this thing, and if you've got other people around you that don't really get it, they're a bit like, why are you complaining you're so tired? Just eat an apple because that's healthy and you'll be fine. And it's just like, no, it's not that easy. So it can be quite hard it is definitely mental. Those hard days where you do feel it physically, it's going to be the mental things over everything.
Your mind will give up before your body, I think, is a really good thing to remember. And also like getting in stage condition, like that's not normal behavior. So you kind of have to expect that to be hard. Like you're literally like, in a way, you're just starving your body. Like I love bodybuilding, but it is glamorized starvation. So what do you expect? The body doesn't want to do that. So you kind of signed up for this, so you either crack on or you kind of don't. So
it does get to a stage for almost every single client during prep. Like for lifestyle, it's very different, isn't it? Like we can say, this is a lifestyle, we want you to enjoy it, we can pull back, we can do this, we can do that. But for prep, when you got a deadline of a show, you've got to be like, no, this is the time, you do need to suck it up. This is part of the sport. If you want to get on that stage, you do need to.
Some of it like is not enjoyable, but that's just because the reward once you get on stage is like so worth it. It's like worth the shit at times. Do you know what I mean? So
And it is that kind of thing of what do you want more? Like you started this for a reason, and it's fine if you don't want to do it, but don't like just go, I tried, I'm gonna try and do this for me, not show condition. Maybe just do that. But then if you want to do it and you're determined to do it, just get your head down and just keep going, because that one hard day, it will be, like I said, it will pass. It's temporary.
It does get better. You do normally wake up the next day and think, oh, I feel all right now.
Yeah, I found that is once someone does a show, it does a full prep, does a show, and they experience that show day, they enjoy that show day. That's it, they're hooked then. And the difficulty of prep doesn't really matter. That's what I found. And
well, my first prep was like 16 weeks, and I remember it was the championships the week later, and I remember just after my first show, Matt was like, right, come on, you've won this, you won the overalls, you can do the championship, let's just do it. And I was like, no, I'm out, like I just want pizza. I was like, I can't do one more week, I'm done. I was like 2 hours cardio, I was like 20,000 steps, I was like 900 calories. I was like, no, give me some damn pizza. And we literally had a bit of food that night, it wasn't loads, and I was like, fine, I'll carry on till the end. But then once you've done it and you know what you're doing it for, 10 months, yes, I wouldn't do it again, but I know in my head why I'm doing it. So it kind of is that thing of just going, okay, so picture the end goal and how much does it mean to you, and that will keep pushing you through those kind of hard days as such.
Your first prep is a bit of a novelty, I find, and then after that it just becomes like a bit of a job, kind of.
Yeah,
you're doing it for a reason and you know why you're doing it. Like the first prep, you don't even know what's coming. Like you're like, is this where it gets hard, or like what am I experiencing right now? So yeah, like I said earlier, like your first prep is just, it's just the best.
And that should be the fun stage, because you shouldn't have any expectations. Like it's literally just you getting on stage, whatever it is, because you haven't set a standard like for yourself to a certain degree. It's just you proving to yourself that you can do it, and whatever happens, then you learn from it and go, okay, this went well, this didn't, how am I then going to level up even more? And then it turns into more like a challenge, doesn't it, and a more of a serious thing, which is
there's no expectations in your first show, and there shouldn't be for anyone.
So that was going to go on to my next question, like, because you did do so fucking well when you did compete, you know, and you got your pro card, right, which is something that people try for years and years to obtain with the PCA. So obviously you never expected to get that far, or?
No, do you know what? I never expected to. I would like to have won my first show. That was like for me the dream. But I think because I was on social media and because I had so much support, which I was so grateful for, but because a lot of the people who were supporting me didn't really get bodybuilding, they would say crazy stuff like, well, it happened, but they'll be like, you'll win the whole thing, la la la. So I literally just ended up blocking everybody out. So like by the time I got to show day, I just had no expectations. So yeah, winning the overall in the first show was crazy, but then the finals for me, like that wasn't even, I was like, do you know what, if I get first call out, I will be buzzing. Like if you watch the live video, when they call my name on first call outs, I act like I've won. I'm buzzing. There was about 26 of us, and I was like, if I get first call out, and they were like I was the last number to call as well on the call outs. I was celebrating. And then obviously when I won the finals, I was just like, my mind was blown. But I never expected the pro card, like because they had done tone figure beforehand. They don't hand out pro cards for tone figure, it's only athletic figure. So I was like, cool, they're not giving out pro cards, like that's not even something I need to think about. So yeah, obviously when they called that, I was like, mine was blown, of course. I was going in wanting first call outs for the finals, so yeah.
Definitely smash that.
Yeah, it was literally like the best day of my life, I'm not gonna lie.
So now that you've obviously achieved that, which is obviously an amazing goal, what's the plan this year?
So my plan this year, so when I got my pro card, obviously I was so happy. Like I was like, this is great. Like it was honestly like one of the best things ever. But once the dust had kind of settled, I kind of came to the realization that if I carry on in the pro league, like I can't compete with any other federations, and I can't do any real show, like I can't do like lots of shows. So the thing that I regret about my first season is that I just didn't do many shows. Like I did the first time versus PCA, and then I did the finals, and that was it. So like 50 weeks of dieting for 2 shows, I was like, I just don't want to do that again. Like I want to go in and do show after show, like not loads, but I just really enjoy show day. I love that, like meeting the other girls, it's just the best day. So I was like, right, if I stay PCA pro, like, then I don't know, I just felt this like huge pressure. Like everyone used to say like, oh, the pressure for first timers, you must feel loads of pressure. And I was like, no, I don't feel any pressure. But once I'd become pro, I had this massive pressure on me to like, to do well in the pro league. You know, I never saw myself as pro. Like I find that really hard to like see. So I kind of decided, you know what, I'm going to drop down into the amateur league again, because like with the pro status as well, like it is in figure, it is like who can get the biggest, you know, like unfortunately the sport, as you go up through the ranks, as you guys know, like the more and more the drugs are involved. And like I love bodybuilding and obviously I want to do well, but like do I actually want to take it to a level where I lose my femininity and I can't get that back? The answer to that question is no. Like I just don't want to do that. So I said, right, I'm going to drop down into the amateur league, do some shows, you know, like all your FitX and your NFM UK and a couple of PCAs and all of this. But then I actually thought, you know what, I think I'm going to stay PCA pro, because this kind of just went straight over my head, but like I can compete in other countries. So I was like, right, what should I do? Because I don't think I'm going to stay in bodybuilding in terms of competing for much longer. Like that's just a decision that I made a while ago, because again, going back to like the progression within bodybuilding, within figure, like there's a lot of drugs involved. And like for me, I have a lifestyle brand and, you know, it's just not the route I want to go. I don't want to be like IFBB pro, or I don't want to go to the Olympia. So I was like, this potentially could be my last year of competing. So what do I do? Do I stay amateur, do what, 4 or 5 shows potentially, and just see where it goes, like not wanting to kind of do anything more with it? Or do I stay PCA pro and do the PCA finals this year, the pro show, and maybe like 1 or 2 other shows abroad?
Yeah, they've got some big shows abroad as well, haven't they?
I don't know, it just never really like crossed my mind that I could go and compete in other pro shows across the world. I thought like those pro shows were for those pros.
Yeah.
So it kind of like all came to me and I was like, oh my God, wow, I can compete in like Florida. So I was like, right, that's definitely what I'm doing. So I went back and spoke to Ryan from PCA, who I'd previously gone, oh, by the way, I'm going to leave the amateur league, the pro league. And he was like, right, okay. So yeah, I mean, it's a big decision. And like, obviously this is the issue of posting everything online and sharing your journey. Like now it's a case of like, oh, by the way, guys, like I am going to stay in the pro league. But at the end of the day, you've got to do what makes you happy. And like, if I was worried about other people's judgment, I would not say, oh, I'm going to stay pro. I'd just be like, oh, I've made my decision now. Like, I don't want any judgment. But yeah, I'm going to stay pro.
Awesome. That's so exciting. So you're going to do Florida. That's a show you picked up?
I'm going to do Florida and the PCA Expo, which is in October. So their finals is like, they've made like a massive event where it's like the finals and the pro show and like an expo. So yeah, that potentially will be my next show, which is like 19 weeks out.
That's crazy. So is the expo before Florida? When's Florida?
Yes, the Florida show is the week after.
Could you turn Florida into a holiday?
Yeah, obviously.
I was just making sure, because you don't
know. Show in Florida is not going to go down well.
Portion sizes out there.
Yeah, I had. They're amazing. Yeah.
I don't know if you've watched Erin Thompson's.
Yes.
Yeah, when she's in America, that will literally be me.
Oh my God. But no, that sounds like it's going to be so much fun. So, I mean, and I think that's the thing, like you haven't, it's so easy to worry what other people are going to say, but I think as well with your following, you've got a good community. I mean, when you've got a high following, there's always going to be someone that has an opinion, but a majority of your following are also supportive. You've created a brand where women are really supportive of women, no matter your size and shape and stuff. And I think that's the biggest thing. And you're a big advocate for, you know, if you want something enough, you get it done. And also you are able to do whatever you want to do, you know, at the end of the day. So getting your pro card back and making this decision is just going to be something that you'll look back on and be proud of yourself for doing. And it's something, like you said, you're not going to be in this sport forever. So it is something that's so exciting from it.
It just means that I'm potentially not going to get much like experience within different shows, but at the end of the day, like going back to what we said at the beginning of this podcast, like the reason I got into bodybuilding was because I used to watch PCA shows. So yeah, like a decision that seemed so certain about going back into amateur for me, like my mind was set on that. Like it's actually weird how I've kind of come out of that. But again, I think it's the abroad shows, like the thought of only being able to do one more show this year and that's it kind of made me think like, as much as I would love to, I just don't think I want to do that. So yeah, exciting.
It's always better as well if you're going to do something you want to do something you enjoy, but also you're going to feel more kind of satisfaction out of going abroad and doing something like that than doing I love FitX and NFM, absolutely love them, but from doing a couple like UK shows, whereas you can just go over there and feel like you've gone that next level even more so out of it. So I don't think it matters kind of in sense of federation, it's what you're doing out of it, isn't it? Which is just
and like for example, my best friend of like 8 years, she's not into bodybuilding at all. I met her when I was like a normal person and I used to work in a cafe, but she loves like China and Japan and stuff. So like I've said to her, like there might be a pro show in South Korea. And I was like, Nate, like, have you ever wanted to go to South Korea? And she was like, oh my God, yeah, I would love to. And like the opportunity that I have now to be able to say to her, I'm going to fly you to South Korea with me, like while I compete, and you can kind of just go and experience South Korea. Like, that's awesome. Like, I'm never going to get that chance again. So yeah, like, I just think, oh, do you know what? As we used to say when we were kids, YOLO.
You say that as if you're really old now. You're still young.
I am old now. I'm getting on.
So then obviously we're going into the prep now. So going out of your last prep, obviously post-show, as we all do, especially from our first show, we all experience some sort of kind of post-show problems in their own way, shape or form. So whether it's kind of scared to eat too much because you're worried about undoing it, whether it's you can't control how much you eat, whether it's how you feel in yourself. How did you feel your post-show was? Because I know you've spoken about it a bit. And how long would you say, it took for you to kind of have that feel good feeling in yourself again?
Isn't it funny how when you come out of your prep, about 2 weeks from coming out of your prep, you're like, I'm good now, like I'm normal again. And you look back and you think, no, you weren't. It takes months, doesn't it? It takes months to get back to normal. So because my show got cancelled in 2019, I actually kind of had like a post-show experience already, potentially worse. So that for me was not fun. Like I ate a lot of food, I'm not gonna lie. I was having like what are those, like Lindor bunnies? I was having like 2 of those a day. They're like 1,500 calories each. So yeah, I put on a reasonable amount of weight pretty quickly after that in the lockdown. So I think coming out of this prep, because I'd done that little like mini reverse, and because I'd already done like I kind of ruined it on the first lot go, I definitely wasn't anywhere near as bad as I was before. Obviously I still overate. Like there was evenings where I thought, do you know what, bugger this, I'd buy like box of cereal, eat the whole box of cereal, whole packet of biscuits, I didn't care. But in the grand scheme of things, I feel like I was a lot better with it, which again, I think it comes back to like time and experience. Like the more times you do post show, the easier those post shows definitely get. But my issue was like I have a low thyroid. I already knew I had a low thyroid before I got into bodybuilding. It just runs in my family. So when I had my thyroid tested after that show, it was quite low. So anyone that doesn't realize, when you have a low thyroid, it's quite difficult to eat. Your body just doesn't really like burn it very quickly. So that actually helped me in a weird way, because I knew if I overate by loads, I'm buggered basically, because my thyroid was quite low. So just getting that thyroid up naturally, like for a few months, was the main priority. So yeah, definitely didn't feel normal for at least 2 months, maybe even more. It's crazy, isn't it? Like when you're in a prep, you think that that's normal, and then when you come out of it, like, oh, this is normal again, and it's like, no, you're still so shredded and you're still not very well.
It's definitely, it's so, like I said, there's so much, whether it's your like the worries around food or worries around yourself mentally, like you feel like you've just undone everything, and then you look back and you're like, no, I was fine. Or
the energy that you spend like picking yourself apart every single day post show, like that is something I'm going to try not to do this time. Like I literally used to like look at myself in the mirror like every 2-3 times a day, like, oh shit, like I'm getting softer again. Oh, it's so, like, it's mentally such a mind hack, like it's such a mind fuck, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is. I think it's really crucial as well at that sort of time to stay with a coach. Like, that's one piece of advice I'd give to everyone, because it's a time when you just want to kind of just hit the fuck it button. And if you don't follow the plan for a few days, you're like, why am I paying a coach, sort of thing. But I think it's the most crucial time to have a coach, if anything, because like, yes, you'll have that like week, 2 weeks, I call it like the enjoyment phase, you know, where you do want to have nice foods again. But once you get past that and you want to get back into structure, it can be very, very difficult to do it on your own still, because you still will have like massive hunger cues and things like that, and a coach will really help in that situation. So yeah, one piece of advice for everyone: don't bin off your coach.
And also be honest with your coach, because I know a lot of people still lie to their coach and say, yeah, no, it's fine, I've been following it. Your coach has been in this for so many years. Like, they can see on you that you're doing that. So you may as well just be honest. Like, you're not a bad person. You're not a terrible athlete if you struggle post show. Like, if you don't struggle post show, you are weird.
I think that's the biggest thing that I worry, especially with the girls that compete on our team. Like, sometimes I never want to come across negative and I'm taking away the show day, but I'll always try and embrace them as much as possible for post show. And I'll be like, remember, tell us everything, because there's more than one way to reverse out. It might be the case we need to reverse out. It might be the case you need to macro track for a while. It might be the case we need to check in every single day for accountability and support. And then it's kind of knowing that, do you know what, let's shift into the fact you can now sleep again, because I bet you weren't sleeping before. You're going to get your cycle back. We're going to focus on that. We're going to focus on your energy. We're going to focus on you feeling good when you do sleep and sit
strength
down,
in the gym,
everything as a whole. So when you shift like onto the positives, like you don't, because I was starting to have like Nitol and sleeping tablets to go to sleep, and I remember like my knees were bony, so like if I slept on my side it was hurting, and I wouldn't be moving my arms like this when I was speaking, doing check-ins. I was just getting all my energy to those. And it's when you shift into that, like, it just makes you feel like you are regaining your health rather than I'm getting fat, which tends to be the way we tend to think.
Yeah, of course, like we said, you get so used to like being in that really dieted phase, like you just, until you're completely out of it, you're like, oh my god, how was I even surviving like that? So yeah, you've got to focus on getting your health back and like just being normal again. I remember for me, like when I was in my prep, this is so crazy, I had to buy shoes in a size smaller because I'd lost that much fat off my feet. Like, I tell people that and they're just like, why are you doing that? Like, that's
crazy. I had to downsize my wedding ring.
Yeah, luckily.
Yeah, having to like sit on cushions when you drive and stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Now I can't take this one off.
No, yeah, it's cool. So in that sense, like, it's kind of just shifting to the performance base, to the health base, to everything like that. And obviously with food, you know, I know you follow a meal plan. It's one of those things where everyone has their preference, whether on prep or not. Is it something where I know Dan prefers a meal plan. I used to always prefer a meal plan, but everyone's completely different. Do you feel if you had a choice, would you still choose a meal plan, or?
I think if I had a choice, I wouldn't follow a meal plan outside of prep. I would be a little bit more flexible with my diet. But I think that's only because I kind of know more about nutrition, obviously, like being an online coach, whereas I can understand why somebody who maybe isn't actually, I forget sometimes that people that compete, they're not all online coaches, like they're not all PTs. So for people that maybe aren't that clued up on nutrition, like following a meal plan might be the best thing. But like you said, it's just so person dependent. Like, everyone will have their preferred way of coming out of a show, because it's not easy. It is not easy at all.
Yeah, and then being in prep, would you say having a meal plan is going to be better than kind of macro tracking?
For me personally, yeah. For other people, maybe not. Like, I know a lot of there is quite a lot of pros that like macro track. Becky Dean, for example, is someone who comes to the top of my head. Like, she prepped her whole prep on like if it fits your macros. So it's not that it's not doable. I just think sometimes having the meal plan, it kind of takes out the thought. I think if I was to do my own calories, I'd just have oats for every meal.
I think that's the biggest thing. So my first prep, I was vet nursing still. So before we went into this, so being a vet nurse, and it was just easier to just prep a load of food, because I was doing day shifts, night shifts, weekend shifts, and just have those set meals and know what I was eating when and when. And even now, like, even I know I've got the flexibility to swap things out. even through this building phase. So I will swap things if I want to, but I tend to same pre-workout, same post-workout, same meal before bed, all that kind of stuff, because it just gets into a routine, doesn't it? And I think it does take a lot of the thinking out so you can put it into other things, but it's knowing, you know, there's no right or wrong, it's just whatever your preference is, and then just sticking to it. And I think it helps with that accountability side a little bit more so.
Yeah, prep is just a routine. Prep is just about consistent routine, groundhog day, every day is the same. So if your food is the same, I feel like it just makes it a bit easier. For me personally, it does anyway, because it's just like the same shit, different days. You know what I mean?
I see some people on prep doing kind of their own macros and stuff, and they're fitting in some amazing meals, and I'm just like, how have you
I remember who it was, but I was following someone and she like literally went on a night out on her prep and she was like tracking vodka. I can't remember who it was. I was just like, wow, like fair play.
Our friend who went out, Sarah, she goes to raves. She doesn't like drink or anything like prep, but she still goes to like raves and stuff like that. And I don't know how she does it.
She's so, it's all about the energy, isn't it? To go on a night out, whether you're sober or not, just to go on a night out and be around people. Like when you're into prep, you just don't want to be around anyone.
Get away from me. Yeah.
My birthday's in December, and we went out on a night out. And my foot, again, going back to what I was saying, I thought I was fine. I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Literally got a few hours into that night, and I was, because my thyroid was so low and like my energy was still so low, it just hit me. I was like, okay, I'm still not okay. I'm still recovering from my prep from 3 months ago. Like, that's how crazy it is. It's such a like massive commitment, isn't it? You've got to make sure you're doing this for the right reasons, because if you're not, you're mental.
Yeah, I always say that to like anyone that wants to sign up, especially because I've been doing a lot of like posing help with confidence, because when it comes to obviously being on stage, you're on stage for like 5 minutes. So you've got your prep that might be 5 months, you've got your rebound, which might be another 4 months. So that's going to be a hell of a chunk of your year for those 5 minutes. So it is one of those things where you've got to be like, remember why you're doing this. And I remember I found it quite hard, because I mentally, I was like, I can handle this post show a lot better last year, because I knew what I'm like. I love food. I have no barrier to tell me to stop. So I was like, I have to mentally tell myself to stop, because my stomach doesn't tell me. And we had the wedding like 2 weeks later, and obviously shows were finished. So I was like, I want to eat. My dress was fitted for the size of what I was going to be in. So luckily I was fine, but my calories were so low on prep that I was like, I'm now in this boundaries where I've got no shows. Like, sod it, I'll force myself in that wedding dress. I want to eat, but at the same time, I don't want to screw all my digestion over that I then, you know, can't enjoy things. So it was quite a hard balance to think I've got to keep control to fit into this bloody wedding dress, which I probably couldn't even fit my leg in right now because it's so tiny. And then afterwards it was just thinking, okay, how can I keep that control? Because there isn't those shows, there isn't those things going on, and especially when it is kind of October, you're thinking you're just getting into winter, so it can be quite hard, can't it?
Yeah, it's not the best time of year to be prep either, to be fair.
Sometimes having a little mini go after a show can be helpful. Some people like booking photo shoots, things like that. And
I can see the appeal to that, to be fair.
Yeah, 100%.
So what else have we got?
I did want to quickly go back to what you said about it's Groundhog Day on prep, but also we want to try and enjoy it. So I think a really important part of the journey is documenting as much as possible, like taking pictures of your physique, because you will have days on prep where you feel like your prep's a head fuck and you think like, oh, I don't look that great. But trust me, you do look great. And like when you look back on it, when you're mid-off season, you're like, how the fuck did I not think
the time now?
So take the damn picture.
Yeah. Make sure you take photos. Even I know a lot of people, when they get to the last couple of weeks of their prep, if they're documenting it on YouTube or whatever, on Instagram or whatever, they'll actually stop. Like, they won't upload photos because they actually think they're not lean enough. And I think you're going to regret that, because trust me, in 3 months' time, you'll be looking back at that and being like, oh my God, I was so lean.
100%. I've seen that a lot. And also I've seen people saying, we were talking to our friend Gemma about it. She was like, I don't really want to upload the same check-in photos every week because people get bored of seeing it. But it's not all about that. Well, people don't get bored of it to start with. Like, people are invested into the journey, but also it's for yourself to look back on it and refer back to it and think like, yes, I did achieve that. And also for your next year, you can compare your photos and things like that. It's a really good place to sort of document your journey and reflect back to, I think.
I've got loads of photos I forced myself to take and never posted them. because I was like, I'm literally stood there and I even look quite grumpy in them, but I'm like, I'm taking it because I know like the future off-season me and next prep me is going to be glad I've got this photo. But I would stand there and people would walk in and I'm like, can you just not look at me taking photos right now because I look like shit? When you look back and you're like, oh, hang on, what happened?
Recently, I put on my close friends on Instagram like all of these pictures. You know when you're like deep in prep and you're like checking yourself to see if you're lean. You know that one where you're bent over and you're like trying to get a picture of your hamstrings. Literally lost it. And obviously those photos are never posted when I was actually lean. But it's funny how you can look back at them, isn't it, and just be like, oh my god, I was so lean, I didn't even realise.
Yeah, definitely take a million photos.
It's funny because I coach Georgia, so when she does her check-in, if she looks angry and moody in her check-in video, I know to be nicer on her check-in.
Just say it's fine.
Yeah.
You look good, don't you? Like, I don't know, I didn't look, I just sent it to you. Because you've got such a head back that everything's just not going right. I'm just like, just tell me what to do and I'll carry on.
So how are you finding this prep then compared to last time? Is it all running, do you find it's running smoother? You're on much higher calories because you obviously did an off season with Dan as well.
So my off season I just did, that's like the first proper structured off season I've ever really done. So it was really great and I managed to bring my calories up quite high and obviously like get rid of all my cardio and stuff. So this prep has been easier because I haven't had such a savage start point. Like back in January, I started on, I think it was like 4 lots of cardio or something, whereas now I only just had cardio introduced. So yeah, it's definitely a better setup, which is great. And also know what to expect in a way. I kind of know what's coming. But it is like, because obviously when you're doing your first prep, you have nothing to really compare. So in terms of like photos and stuff, as I'm getting leaner, it's that head fuck of like, am I even any different? Like, you know, that fear of like getting on stage and looking the same. So that's what I'm currently suffering with, like self-doubt. Whereas when I thought I was going to be amateur, I was kind of like, yeah, it's all good. I'm just going back to amateur, no pressure, like no expectation. Whereas now I'm staying pro, it's like, it's a lot, you know. I watched the pro at the Universe and the girls on the pro lineup then, I was just like, they're absolutely insane. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting next couple of weeks as I kind of get a little bit more conditioned. But it's great, you know. It's just prep. Like I said, it's not the first prep. It's a novelty, isn't it? Second prep, it's like, yeah, it's just prep.
It is tricky. You are right, because it's like at the start of the prep, it's really difficult because although yes, you've done a structured off season, you would like to think you've built enough muscle tissue there, but you can't see it yet, and there's only a couple of like metrics that you can go off to see if you can know if you've improved. Like such measurements, for example, is a good one to go from. Your lifts in the gym is also a good one to go off, and obviously body weight can be an indicator too. But you know, we're all human and we're all based off of emotion, so you want to see it and you want to feel like happy for what you're seeing. But if you're not lean enough to see it yet, it can be a bit of a head fuck, can't it, right at the beginning of prep?
And I think sometimes you like forget how hard it is to put muscle on. Like it takes ages to put muscle on. So even though I did like a reasonably long off season, it's still not that long. Like I'm only going to see maybe a couple of pounds of muscle, which when you're not shredded, you're not going to see that. You know, you're only going to see that when you're kind of in stage condition, hopefully, fingers crossed. So yeah, we will definitely see. It'll be exciting. Really looking forward to it, actually.
Awesome. Yeah, we're excited to see it as well. I think it'll be really
Thank you, guys.
Awesome stuff. I did want to touch upon one point we talked about earlier because it's quite relevant at the moment, actually. You know, you obviously know Kuba, right?
Yes.
So he's obviously just announced that he's doing Classic, and I thought it was quite interesting because he said that he's downsizing basically because of the longevity of the sport. He doesn't want to be pushing drugs and things like that. And I thought it was quite relevant to you because you said you don't want to do that for the same reason. So is there a way you could potentially move into a different category?
Just go down to bikini. So actually, when I watched Kuba's YouTube video, I was like, wow, I really relate to this. And I completely understand what he's saying. Like, it can kind of, in a way, look like you're kind of saying, I give up, but like, oh, I can't do it to that level. So in a way, like, I feel the same, like me saying like, this potentially might be my last season. People being like, well, she obviously doesn't take it that seriously. She obviously doesn't like love it that much if she's already planning on leaving. The reason that I say I'm not going to carry on is because I just don't see myself downsizing and then doing that. I don't know. I feel like for Kuba, like his business runs off of bodybuilding. Like, he's a bodybuilding coach, he's a prep coach, like everything he's putting online is about prep and about bodybuilding, whereas myself, like, I am an online lifestyle fitness coach, and like I don't plan on being like an advocate for like bodybuilding, and like I said, I don't want to be pro, I don't want to, I don't want to take it all the way. So I could downsize to bikini, yes, but I think what I'll probably do is never say never. I'm not saying like I'm never going to come back and do a show ever again. It's a selfish sport. It takes a lot of dedication. Like, you have to take a whole chunk of the year out of your life. So if the time is right again in a couple of years, then yeah, I'll do a prep, but not with that huge pressure to put on more muscle and do the bulking and the cutting. Like, personally, I don't really want any more muscle. I'm quite happy with the amount of muscle that I've got. Like, so if I was to start adding on more muscle now, it wouldn't be for me anymore. It would be to be bigger and place higher,
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. You've got to have the goal of what you want to look like. And I guess some people do train for, what the category they want to do and things like that. But it's a bit like with me and having to. So my look, I really like the bikinis, but in abroad. So I like Laura Lee. I like, Jennifer. I like the muscular look. That's just a look I really like. So for me in the UK, it would be downsizing, and I don't want to be. So I know I still need. So technically, my glutes are way not enough, kind of thing. But otherwise, I'm probably too big for the UK bikini. Like, I'm glad they've got athletic bikini because I kind of fit a little bit more there. But it's that thing of, I don't want to be UK bikini standard. I don't want to be smaller. I want to have the look of that, and I know that's, for me, a look I'm after. So I know, and I'm happy to take years and do whatever it needs to get at that, just because overall, as a day-to-day look, not obviously being that lean all the time, but as a look of being stronger, having that shape is something I like. So, and that's the thing with you, like, you want to have a look that you're proud of. You've got that shape, but a healthy shape, and that definition without it being too overpowering as something that you feel, especially when you turn pro in figure, it, like I said, it is that leveling up more. You don't want to have to keep forcing that food in, forcing the drugs in, and get into a stage where you just don't feel yourself in it.
Yeah, so like the pro figure, even with PCA, like, you can get away with being bigger, harder, like that's kind of what they're after. If you were to do that in the amateur, you'd get moved to trained. You get moved to trained figure. But in the pro league with PCA, like, they kind of want that massive, like, full shredded look. So yeah, like, I don't know, I respect anyone that has bodybuilding like as such a big part of their life, and they're there in the sport for years and years and years. I respect you so much, like, honestly I do. But for me personally, like, I just, like, if I carry on, because I want to be because I want to do well, like, you go in to win, don't you? So for me, if I realistically sat down and said, right, if I want to carry on in this sport for the next couple of years, I'm going to get to that point where, like, I've kind of reached my potential without pushing a load of drugs. And like, I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. So yeah, like, that is my main sort of reasoning for outing when I am. And also, like, the commitment, like, it is a lot. And you guys know that. Like, it's so nice because you guys prep together and like your couple and everything. But it's a lot to demand from other people around you as well.
Yeah. So then that kind of leads on to another question we had, is how do you respond to people that don't get it, or they're a bit negative to it? Because you're going to have some people, especially in, like you said, people that aren't online coaches. Like, I remember I used to get it when I worked in the vets. I'd get the receptionists that were Slimming World Weight Watchers, and they would be like, yeah, just eat this, or are you sure you should be eating so much of that? And people that have an opinion, but then also people that would be negative, going, you're getting too skinny. I'm like, hang on, lean. I'm getting lean, not skinny.
You look so skinny, and it's like, that is literally offensive. Okay. Yeah, so my best piece of advice, and to be honest with you, anyone can relate to this, even if you're just getting into fitness and people around you don't understand, or if you're bodybuilding or whatever, just be confident. Like, you just have to be confident in what you're doing. And like, the more you say to people, no thank you, or I'm bringing meal prep, or I can't, I've got to get steps in, or is there a gym there that I can join to go and do my cardio, the more you're confident and you rock up and you say, this is my number one priority, I don't give a shit what you think about it, the less people will bother you. People won't keep asking, people won't keep trying to persuade you to do other stuff. So the first kind of like couple of months of when you decide to commit to something like this, it is going to be hard, and people are just going to judge you and like make comments and stuff, but you should be confident enough in yourself to be able to say, have your opinion, that's fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather get on stage and win some trophies than, you know, have a bit of cake with Jane in my lunch break. No thanks.
I think that's the biggest thing as well. So I'll always say to the girls, you know, at the end of the day, you can being with people, whatever it is you're doing, whatever you eat does not affect them eating whatever they want. You know, their opinions don't stop you eating what you want. At the end of the day, I remember I used to go to staff work meetings and everyone would have a Domino's, and it's only as awkward as you make it. Like if you sit there and be like, oh, I wish I could eat that, then they're going to feel bad. If they sit there and say, oh, I feel so bad eating in front of you, just say, no, I'm good. And if you don't make a thing out of it, your chicken isn't going to affect them. And, you know, them eating pizza, just sit there, know the end goal is going to be worth it. Food is always going to be there. But whatever you eat, I remember we went on like your mum's partner's family birthday restaurant thing. Meal, there we go. And I was there with my Tupperware and I brought it, but then you just asked for an extra plate. So then when everyone's eating,
yeah.
I mean, sometimes like your family's quite used to it now. They used to be a bit like, oh, I feel a little bit bad eating this. Is this okay eating in front of you?
They get used to it. This is what I mean. People get used to it. The people around you, they get used to it. And like, it's to a point now where my family or whatever, they'll actually message me saying like, are you bringing meal prep? Do you need a gym? Like, let me know what you need. So yeah, I think it's easier with bodybuilding because people take it more seriously. If you tell someone I'm doing a bodybuilding prep, like me now, I can say I'm a professional athlete. I have to do this. If you're only just getting into the gym and everyone around you thinks that you're never going to do it, that's actually harder because you don't really have a backbone. It's just a diet, you know. Oh, it's just a diet. Whereas, oh, I'm a professional athlete and I'm prepping for a show. Okay, I'll take you seriously. It is hard. Like, it's just that social judgment, but you just have to get past it. Like, just crack on, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
What I say to some of the guys on the team as well, if they see a little bit of resistance from their partners, it's mainly the partners and sometimes close family, depending on the age. I say to them, like, sit down with them and explain to them how important the goal is to them. Because if you get them on board with you, supporting your journey, it makes it so much easier rather than them resisting it the whole way, saying, I'll just have a takeaway, have this with me. If you explain to them near the start, you know, that you really want to achieve this goal, it means a lot to them. You want their support behind you, like they would be more likely to say, like, if you want a takeaway, they'll be like, no, come on, you can do this sort of thing, and encourage you to your goals rather than trying to dissuade you. And I think that can be really powerful. It's like, it's leveling up your network that's around you. Can be really powerful.
Yeah, that is the biggest thing, just making sure you've got that
support,
people around you that get it. Because I remember my mum never got it, and I'd be out on walks and I'd be hungry and she would try and offer me something that's classed as healthy and I'm like, I can't eat it. But and until they like show them what you're planning on doing, if you're a first timer, show them other people's shows and this is what I'm aiming for, and you know, and break it down a little bit, because especially if you are a first timer and you have kind of those lifestyle people around you that maybe don't diet or don't get it, they just won't get it because you haven't explained it either. So you know, not making a big deal out of your food, you know, explaining everything, still having the right set, you know, message other people that are doing the same shows as well, so you still got that support, so you don't seem like the odd one in your like just little group. So then you've got that other support, and then being able to just talk to people about it is probably going to be the best thing.
Yeah, I mean, even if they don't get it after you explain it to them, because most people don't. I mean, it's a weird sport at the end of the day, isn't it? Paint ourselves brown and stand in our pants in front of people.
Yeah.
But
my dad, my 6-year-old dad, what I'm aiming to do, he's like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, I just diet for like 6 months and then I just get in my pants and a pair of heels on stage, just get judged by like full-grown men.
When you explain it like that, it is very odd sport, isn't it? But
when you strip it down, it's very odd.
But if they love you, you know, or if they're a close friend and they want the best for you, then they'll still support you because they see how much it means to you. They see how much work and effort you're putting in. So
yeah, it becomes less about the actual thing of what you're doing and more about like the, you know, the commitment and stuff. Like my parents now, like they love it. They'll be at all my shows. Like, but before, when I first told them I was doing this, they were like, what are you doing? Like, this is the worst decision you're ever going to make. But now they love it. They absolutely love it.
Awesome.
Crazy. So what other questions have we got?
We just had the one more, which I think I know what you mean. Basically, they said when on low calories. Sorry, it's George's writing.
How can you not read my writing when I've seen chicken scratch? When on low calories and little sugar, do you experience insulin crashes? So I think, you know, it's one of those things where she's just talking about.
I think she means sugar crashes, rather than insulin crashes.
Just like going hypo.
Hypo, yeah.
Yeah, I have done that a few times. I didn't think it was a thing. I remember the first time I did it, I was like, is this even real life? I was on the Stairmaster in Pure Gym. The people that were in that gym must have thought I was a right weirdo. I can't remember walking home. So yeah, hypos are something that you just get on prep sometimes. How do you deal with it was the question. Go to bed, just go bed.
Sometimes if you notice they're happening more often, maybe look at the food you're eating if you're not on a plan and think about where you're sourcing carbs. So if you are kind of getting those lows and it's around training, because that's when your energy is going out when you haven't had carbs. So it's going to be being strategic with your food and only also, moving if you have to.
Yeah, if you do get them as well, if you notice it's a regular thing, I would definitely start measuring your fasted glucose levels if you can, but also always bring in something with you to the gym, because it won't take much. It won't take much to get your glucose back up again, like literally 20 grams of fast acting carbs. So just take that to the gym, eat that, 20 minutes later, you'll be feeling okay. You might even be able to finish your session. But yeah, if you feel like shit, if you go hypo, it's
know it's working. If you go hypo, you know it's working.
Well, that's that.
Just accept it. If you're going to get stage lean people, you've got to accept this kind of stuff.
Yeah, you've got to accept no.
Yeah. It's savage. So like going hypo is a possibility. You just got to deal with it. Like I always say, no one cares, work harder. I know that's savage, but like that is part and parcel of prep. You're going to probably get hypos.
It's a bit like where you see people comparing, like even like with me, like I can get a lot of carbs and I'd see people carving up on so many carbs, or they'd be on loads of calories still, barely any cardio, and I'm there, like I said, 2 hours cardio, 20k steps. Carbs were basically pulled out. That's both for preps. And like you said, no one cares work harder. No one gives a shit when it comes to being on stage. They don't care whether you've been on 4,000 calories or 900 calories. They care what you bring to that stage, and it's just shit luck if I have to do 2 hours cardio and the person next to me got away with 20 minutes. Like you can't control that.
Just the way it goes. Like that is just part and parcel of it sometimes. But yeah, to be fair, like at least you know in your own heart, like you did that real tough prep. I mean, like not many people can get through that kind of thing. So yeah, if you go hypo, maybe look at your food, and then I just say go to bed. That's what I always tend to do. Just go home, go bed, start again tomorrow.
Weirdly, it never happened to me in the gym. When it happened on prep, it was when I'd go for like my midday walk or something. That's when I'd get it, which is quite odd.
You know when you're like walking and you don't even feel like you can walk anymore. You're like, I actually can't put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
You're questioning if you're gonna, and you're halfway around a walk is the worst thing, because you're like,
do I get an Uber?
I'm not sure what's going to happen right now. And if you stop, it's worse. So you're like, through and just keep going and hope I make it.
Do you know what? I love it. I actually can't wait to be at that point again. You know, when you hit like a groove in prep, I'm just excited to hit that groove where like hunger isn't really an issue anymore because you're just hungry all the time. It's a constant emotion. And like you just do whatever it takes. Like the start of a prep just feels like a diet, and it's a bit like, oh, this is boring. And you're very food focused. Whereas I find like about 8 weeks out, I just hit a groove where I just don't care.
Just turn really robotic. It's like, I've got this thing, I'm just doing it and just getting, and then you're just counting it down until you get there.
Yeah.
Oh, chicken salad. Lovely. Can't wait.
I was saying, I was like air frying courgette and cucumbers. So I was like, it's like a crisp. And I was just like covered it in a bit of salt, and I was like, salt and vinegar crisp, and they were just air fried courgette.
Have you got anything weird like that? Like a weird prep food that you had?
So in my prep, my first prep, when I had to sort of dig a little bit more and take my calories quite low, Dan swapped my oats for eggs in the morning. Obviously no carbs. I hate eggs. So it was like 1 egg and like 200 milliliters of egg whites and veg. So basically just blended it, like spinach, eggs, and then like sweetener and loads of cinnamon, and just made pancakes.
Nice. Yeah.
See, I did the other way with my eggs, and I just did sweet eggs. So I just put all my eggs in a blender, but without the greens. And I put like, because I could still have flavor drops and stuff. So I put like skinny food syrup and flavor drops in, blended it, and it just made this like sweet egg omelette. And I was like, just anything sweet right now.
I was so happy. I remember saying to Dan, I could eat this all the time. He was like, I'll come back to this conversation at Christmas. Like, obviously, if I ate that now, I'd be like, this is rank. But your taste buds just adapt, don't they? And everything tastes amazing.
I remember mine was basically egg whites again. I made it into like a cake type thing. So I'd like, pure egg whites in the microwave. And then I'd make like a protein paste and put it on top with a little bit of peanut butter in the middle. Honestly, it was good. I loved it. It was my favourite meal.
I used to have my first ever prep. I had mincemeat, and it was a very standard chicken and rice, mincemeat, like standard meal prep thing. And I had mincemeat and eggs, and it was like either had egg whites one day or a full egg another day, depending rest or training day. And I'd mash it all together in a bowl and put skinny food syrup over it. I wouldn't eat that now. Sounds disgusting. On prep, I swore that was the nicest thing I was eating for my dinner.
Yeah. I made myself like celery on prep. I actually hate celery, but I got to a point where I was like, this is so great.
Mine was cucumber.
I could never
First
go
prep,
to celery.
I refused to eat cucumber because I hate cucumber. I was like, I'll never be those bikini girls that are like cucumber and sweetener. That's just good. But I was so gone in my second prep that I was just like, I was like eating asparagus raw. And I was just like eating cucumber raw.
I don't know if I could ever go to celery though. I think I'd rather eat dust.
I tried celery as well, celery and sweetener. I was just like, just anything. I didn't care. I was like, if it has low calories, it's going in.
Yeah, I can't say that. One thing I'm so proud of, like potentially more proud of this than I am first place at finals. I haven't had sugar-free jelly in any prep yet.
Oh, I did.
Oh yeah.
I'm literally planning on getting through this whole prep now with no sugar-free jelly. I refuse.
You feel like it's more of a competition with yourself to just not.
Yes. Yes, it's just a competition with me. Like I just am so stubborn because I drink so much Pepsi Max. Oh my god, it's ridiculous how much Pepsi Max I drink. So I think I can't start adding in that sugar-free jelly because I don't have digestive issues, but I can imagine I probably would at that point.
I thought I hit the jackpot because obviously everyone goes on about like the 5-10 calorie jelly, and in Asda they do a 1 calorie jelly and it's bigger and it's thicker. It is amazing. It's really thick and there's like 5 different flavors and it's like 10p more. So I was like, well, I would just spend everything on these jellies, and now Matt wasn't allowed any of them. I was like, these are my jellies
as well, aren't they? Like imagine all the money that you spend on those.
Yeah, but I was like, it's a calorie and I'm on prep.
Doesn't matter.
I can't.
You don't care.
Nothing when you're at the back end of prep. If I can't buy food, I'm buying donut socks. I'm buying like pizza socks. I'm buying any kind of item of clothing.
If you can't eat food, you want to wear it.
Yeah, I'm literally just being in it. Money's no object if it means I'm just going to be distracted.
Yeah, basically that's literally what it's like at the end of a prep, isn't it?
Did you do any prep purchases, random prep buys?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I am a terror for that though. I can just start buying loads of shit I don't need.
Thing, isn't it? It is a thing. I started buying random pieces of clothing I don't think I've even worn, to be fair.
Yeah, it's bad. I'm trying to be a bit more aware of it this year and think, do you actually need that, or are you just buying that because you just can't seem to do anything else? It's just like the only thing that you get a bit of a hit from.
I still bought those bloody socks.
There's a guy in our gym called Martin Winston. He put a poll up the other day, like random prep purchases, and people were putting things through like that, like, you know, new shoes, clothing, and they got to his. He bought a Range Rover.
Standard behaviour.
Yeah. Random.
Amazing. So I think that's about everything.
Yeah, I think that's it, mate. Yeah, so we've got a few would you rathers to finish with.
Okay, yeah, go on.
We'll start off with an easy one. Would you give up coffee or Monster?
I'd give up coffee.
I'm asking G as well.
I would give up coffee.
You don't drink coffee, do you?
I forced myself to drink coffee. That was another thing I hated on prep.
I'm actually going to say Monster because I can't not have my coffee in the morning.
I know you were always there with like 5:30 in the morning with your coffee, and I only drink it to fill a void till I can eat my first meal. Even in my off season now, I keep that routine, and I hate it. And I know because I hate it now, I'll love it when I'm back on prep.
Yeah.
I bought the coffee machine to get myself used to it. So when I'm on prep, I'll then have more in it. But yeah, Monsters are.
Mine would be I'd rather have coffee, not Monster.
I'd rather have Monster.
Really opposites.
Next one.
Any kind of caffeine gives Matt's anxiety.
Yeah, I have a panic attack, so I can't have it.
Can't even have a sip.
Yeah, when you're at the end of prep and it's like the caffeine levels are so high, it's like, why do I feel so anxious right now? Yeah, probably because you've been having fucking fat burners, 6 Monsters, 4 coffees, and it's like 11 a.m. You're thinking.
I had to do my prep caffeine free. It was very difficult.
Wow, I actually don't know how you did that.
Or is that, or you just have an anxiety attack?
Yeah, you would have been here anyway.
what was worse?
Right, we're moving on. Would you rather lose the ability to laugh or laugh hysterically for an awkward time for 20 minutes during the day?
The first one, I'd rather just not laugh at anything.
Really?
I think I'd rather laugh because I either laugh randomly anyway, or I laugh at inappropriate times anyway.
I have a nervous laugh. Whenever I'm not supposed to laugh, I'll laugh.
Yeah.
Cannot help it. It got me in a lot of trouble in school. A lot of trouble.
I think, yeah, I'd just rather burst out laughing because that's probably standard life for me. So
Yeah, you probably just do it anyway.
All right, would you rather have one eye in the middle of your head or two noses? And everyone else is normal.
Wow, you have both eyes and then a third eye?
No, just one eye in the middle, like a cyclops.
So only one eye, and what, your noses are going to be next to each other?
Yeah, two fully formed noses. See, I've put a lot of thought into this. Right? I'll give my answer. Like, I reckon I'd choose the noses because you'd be able to smell more, wouldn't you? Because you've got two noses.
Thought that.
And you'd only be able to see half as much if you only got one eye.
I thought two noses is going to be more beneficial to have, but I was more thinking what's going to give you more looks, because
oh, that's true.
So two noses is more beneficial because you'll be like a dog. You'll be able to sniff everything.
Yeah.
Which probably isn't best on prep if you're walking past a bakery.
Two noses because just one eye, like, it's just weird. Everyone's going to look at you like you're so weird.
Oh, and they went with two noses.
I know, but like, a bad bunch. I don't know.
You could just say if you had two noses, could you just cut through the middle of one and just have two giant nostrils and make it one massive nose?
Oh my God, that'd be horrendous, wouldn't it?
But if you've got one, I feel like one eye, I'm clumsy enough with two. I don't watch where I'm going. So if I've got one eye, I'm going to...
If you poke yourself in the eye, you're fucked, aren't you? You haven't got another one.
Yeah.
Two noses.
Like sunglasses. Maybe you could just get some sunglasses and just wear them all the time. But you'd have to get, obviously, that's a hard question.
Yeah, because you'd have to get special sunglasses.
You'd have to have personalised sunglasses, yeah.
So what answer are we saying? Two noses.
Mine's probably two noses as well, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice. Our last question, and this one I think is a good question. Would you rather have the physique of your dreams, think to yourself, you look absolutely amazing, but everyone else thought you looked like shit? Or would you rather have a shit physique, but everyone thinks you look amazing?
I would rather me think my physique is good and everyone else think it's shit, because how bad is it every day waking up picking yourself apart? Like, that's so mentally draining. I'd rather other people thought, yeah, she looks like dog shit, but obviously you'd walk around thinking that you were the dog's bollocks, so people would probably hate you. That is another thing. But could you live inside your own head for the rest of your life, every day waking up being like, I hate my physique?
I feel like I'd rather just feel happy in myself, and especially going off the whole who gives a shit what everyone else thinks about you kind of thing. Like, I don't care. Like, I want people to like me, but in the sense of like my opinion, like what they think of me, I don't care whether they think I look good or not. I want to look good. If
I look like Chris Bumstead, I wouldn't give a shit what everyone else thought.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you think about it like that, if your dream physique, if you look like that, yeah, wow, I wouldn't care what anyone else thinks. But people would probably think like, oh my God, who does she think she is?
And you've got to make friends off your personality, not what you look like. So you can look like shit to everyone else, as long as you're still a nice person. I think I'll still have mates, hopefully.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. So
you know what? People walking around like that think they look amazing, but actually you can look at them and be like, you look shit. There's people walking around like that all the time anyway.
That's true.
Yeah. There we go then. Yeah, I'll choose the physique that I love, and then everyone thought I just look like shit.
Yeah, we're all agreeing on that one, 100%.
Amazing.
Cool.
So I think that's all good then.
That's it.
It's been amazing to have you on.
No, it's been absolutely lovely to be on, so thank you so much. And obviously that's the first time I've spoken on anything about my pro show plans, so yeah, exciting.
We got a little exclusive then.
Yeah. How many weeks out are you now?
I don't know. So I think I might be 19, which is obviously not ideal after me being like, I won't do a long prep again. But it is what it is.
Yeah. And like you said, you're in a better kind of starting point. Cardio's only just started, so it's going to be really exciting. And then did you say you're going to bring out some more YouTubes, or?
Yes, of course. I'm going to do YouTube on the lead up to this prep. And will you guys be at the PCA Expo?
We should be trying to go to that one. Yeah, we're going to try and go to.
What's the date again? Because
October 16th, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there is an amateur show there as well, isn't there? Because
Yeah, there's an amateur on the day before that's like into the finals, and then there's the pro show.
one of our clients wants to do that,
Yeah.
so we probably will be there with clients.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be a big
100%.
weekend, isn't it?
Be lovely to see you guys.
Cool.
Awesome.
So
Well,
yeah.
can't wait to follow along the journey, mate.
And I mean, I'm sure everyone follows you already and knows exactly where to find you. But if they can't, if you say what your Instagram is.
2_ Georgie Fit.
Amazing. And your YouTube is just your name?
Georgie Cooper, I think if you just search that. Georgie Cooper PCA, it will probably come up. So.
And then they can see everything about your prep, and then you can have even more people supporting you.
Woo, amazing. Thanks for having me, guys.
Lovely to speak to you.
Bye.